This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Sunday. Check, check, check. Making sure my mic isn't too loud. I was fucking with it. Because I fuck with things. What's up, everybody? I feel, because I didn't do a Friday show this past week, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. It feels like it's been a while since I've done this, even though it's only been 2 days. Welcome, welcome. Warlord, my friend. Well, they're turning the frogs gay, they're turning the fish. They're turning the fish. Well, like, okay. You know what happened last time we did it. They're turning the turtles into women. You know what happened last time we did a freak show. I needed a week off. Next week is the 1-year anniversary. I think everything works out well. I've got surprises planned for next week. I needed the night off. I don't remember how I spent it. Working, I think. I think I spent it working. Because I've been swamped. I'm not high enough for this shit. What are we going to talk about tonight? Amnesty International issued a report very critical of Ukraine. Zelensky has lashed out at Amnesty International. Meanwhile, the Russians have taken control of a nuclear facility in Ukraine, so fun. Meanwhile, we're on day 3 of fighting in Gaza. A ceasefire has apparently been put into effect, but we know how that goes in Israel. We're going to talk about that. The Democratic Senate passed the IRA, which infrastructure. The Inflation Reduction Act is the name of the piece of legislation. For those of you who know history, the IRA is something completely different, and the name of the bill has been fucking with me. Also kind of confused me with the ERA, which is the Equal Rights Amendment, but the Inflation Reduction Act passed the Senate today. Bernie Sanders tried to raise a stink about it. Democrats tried to raise a stink about Bernie Sanders. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into how Republicans cost you capping the cost of insulin. We're going to talk about how the corporate Democrats killed Bernie Sanders' amendments. Plus all the crazy from the CPAC convention taking place last week. Holy shit. Brandon Straka and his little jail cell demonstration, and Marjorie Taylor Greene coming in and praying with him or whatever the fuck she's doing. I don't even know. I love this meme right here because this meme has levels to it. Is a picture of Dane Cook. And apparently his wife now, who is a woman he's known since she was 14, as I understand it. They've been friends since since the young lady was 14. Dane Cook being 50-something or other. They started dating when she became 18. And apparently they are after like 5 years of dating or getting married now with her at the age of 23. They've known each other 9 years, apparently. That math don't math. It was a picture of Dane Cook and his new wife-to-be, I guess. It says Chappelle over Dane Cook and bigoted white boys. over dang. See, that's a meme with layers to it. I was rushing to eat something, get ready for the stream because I didn't want to let you people down. And there's only like one of you in here right now. Am I even on YouTube? What the fuck is going on? I ain't posted numbers like this for this show since we started. What the hell? Yeah, I'm on YouTube, just nobody's watching. Where's RB? You don't love me anymore. What's going on? Really did cancel Justin here. Oh. Well, it's just me and you, Warlord. Why would everyone think I'm dead? I was just here the other night. I even said I was taking Friday off. It's not like it was unexpected. I need to go brush my teeth or something. I watched Bob's Burgers movie last night. It was alright. What's up, Core? I don't know, I was just noticing like we're like 8 minutes into this and like there ain't nobody here yet. That's not usual. These are the kind of numbers I was posting 2 years ago doing this, not as of late. What the fuck? I'll get a little high. It's okay. But welcome, Core. Welcome. Is there something going on tonight I don't know about? Is it like the Super Bowl? Shit, I think the Super Bowl, I was rocking it. Oh, World War III going on. Well, that's always going on. If World War III is going on, wouldn't you tune into my stream to hear me fucking cuss about it and smoke pot and say I'm not high enough for this shit? What other news we got to talk about? A French scientist thought they had found a new distant star, but they were actually looking at a piece of chorizo. Solar flares are set to increase. NASA says they will cause problems for the Earth. The Earth is spinning faster, and it's apparently shortening our days. And scientists are meeting to discuss why the Earth is spinning faster. Twitter destroyed Elon Musk in court filings. Fox News tried to spin Friday's job reports. By the way, for those of you who are unaware, the expected job report numbers for Friday's report was around 250,000 jobs added. Many right-wing commentators were expecting it to be under 100 grand created. The actual report crushed the expected numbers and was over 500,000 jobs created, taking us to new jobs being created since the 2020 pandemic. But Fox News had to try to spin this some way. And they did. Roger Waters went on with CNN. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. Former member of Pink Floyd. Went on with CNN and apparently let him have it. Really bashed CNN. We're going to listen to pieces of speeches from Senator Rick Scott and Senator Ted Cruz from CPAC because they're wild. We're also going to hear from Trump, who claimed that the feds faked January 6th and the Whitmer kidnapping. The results of the straw poll from CPAC. Who do conservative voters think should be the nominee for the GOP presidential candidate in 2024? Lindsey Graham admonished about following decorum in the Senate. Also, Lindsey Graham has a piece of advice for Trump should he run in 2024. Indiana passes an almost total abortion ban. We're going to talk about lightning in Washington, D.C. that struck near the White House that killed 3 people. I think the death count is up to 3 people. A judge is set to decide on whether the electric chair and firing squad are cruel or not. A police training exercise killed a woman. You may have not heard about this because it hasn't got a lot of widespread media attention, but there are a rash of killings of Muslim men in New Mexico. A 4th Muslim man has been found dead. We're going to dive into that story and see if they are connected, plus so much more. Here on the Troll Patrol. Live. Planet X, welcome. I mean, I don't know if you can say that the Budget Committee chairman has no sway in the Senate. But I mean, he did not get his way today on multiple things, and the Democrats, boy, were they united in bashing him. Republicans are always talking about abolishing the Department of Education. They're always talking about abolishing the EPA. And always like, who's going to declare Superfund sites? I'm sitting right down the road from a Superfund site. Who declares that if you abolish the EPA? Who cleans this shit up when 3M decides to spill hundreds, thousands of gallons of pollutants into the Tennessee River? I don't know about this Alabama Police Department being disbanded. There was a police department in North Carolina where the entire police department quit over a black captain or city manager that got hired. And the community of Vincent votes to terminate the police chief, assistant, and then the whole department. We might have to look into that, Warlord. There have been multiple police departments where one of them, it said like the whole police department quit, but that was a bit of a misnomer. That was in Colorado. Like, there was only like 3 people working for the department. One got a job somewhere else, one retired, and then like one quit or some shit. Like, it was stupid. And like a lot of people made like, oh, this whole police department quit. But it was a little small municipality. It was some bullshit. And that's apparently is what this town of Vincent is. It's probably just 3 or 4 fucking employees. Racist texts in Alabama? Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Let's start off tonight talking about the nuclear plant in Ukraine, which has been taken over by the Russians. Last week it was China, China, China. This week we're back talking about Russia for a little bit. Then it's home to Israel. Nuclear it's pronounced nuclear.
Fears rising about the fate of Ukraine's largest nuclear plant. It's now under Russian control, and multiple blasts there during the fighting have damaged high-voltage wires, sparking concern about potential disaster.
What we have in Zaporizhia, what we have in Ukraine, the situation is really, really a volatile one.
The United Nations nuclear watchdog saying every principle of nuclear safety has been violated. Their biggest concern, shelling making it too dangerous for inspectors to assess the damage. Ukraine accusing Russia of using the plant near the city of Zaporizhia as cover, allowing Russia to shell nearby cities without retaliation. Ukraine's president outraged.
Wow.
This is the largest nuclear power plant on our continent, and any shelling of this factory is an open, brazen crime, an act of terror.
All this as Russia keeps up its slow march across the eastern part of Ukraine. The fighting showing no signs of letting up. The nearby town of Nikopol hit hard Saturday. Officials saying a rocket strike injured 3 and damaged up to 40 homes, as well as a kindergarten classroom.
These are the covers for the helmets.
Meanwhile, just an hour and a half from the front lines, volunteers in the city of Poltava collecting and creating whatever they can to help equip Ukrainian soldiers.
You're fighting for them?
Yes. They fight for me, I fight for them.
Now, as of this morning, UN officials say it doesn't appear any of these reactors have been damaged or there has been any leak of radiation. But this could pose a real problem for Ukraine because the longer it remains in Russian hands, the more they go without their main source of power. Willie, more than 50% of this country's energy stems from nuclear power plants. Willie?
Morgan Chesky in East Ukraine for us this morning. Morgan, thanks so much.
Willie? I'm sorry, I don't know why that tickled me. Amnesty International regrets the distress and anger caused by Ukraine report. A controversial report alleging Ukraine military violations of international law caused the head of Amnesty Ukraine to resign and protest. Amnesty International said it deeply regrets the distress and anger caused after it alleged Ukrainian forces were flouting international law by exposing civilians to Russian fire. The rights group said we fully stand by our findings, but stressed nothing we documented Ukrainian forces doing in any way justifies Russian violations. Amnesty sparked outrage in Ukraine with the publication of a report on Thursday that accused the military of endangering civilians by establishing bases in schools and hospitals and launching counterattacks from heavily populated areas. The head of Amnesty's Ukraine office, Oksana Polachuk, resigned in protest, accusing the rights organization of parroting Kremlin propaganda. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the group tried to shift the responsibility from the aggressor to the victim. I'm kind of... Okay, that's a long piece. Let's not watch that. That's like fucking 30 minutes long. Let's watch Vladimir Zelensky respond to the report by Amnesty International, which they stand by, which I don't doubt.
Ми побачили сьогодні зовсім інший звіт від Amnesty International, який, на жаль, пробує амністувати державу-терориста.
Speak English, motherfucker. I know you can. I just heard you doing it.
І перекласти відповідальність з агресора на жертву. Немає і не може бути навіть гіпотетично жодного.
My apologies. He's not going to. He's going to speak in, Ukrainian? Is that what they speak? So I'm going to translate for those listening to the audio portion of this. As he goes along, I will read the subtitles for you. There are no and can be no, even hypothetically, conditions under which any Russian attack on Ukraine becomes justified. Aggression against our state is unprovoked, invasive, and frankly terroristic. And if someone prepares a report in which the victim and the aggressor are allegedly the same in some way, if some data about the victim is analyzed, while something that the aggressor was doing at that time is ignored, then this cannot be tolerated. Well, sir, I don't think they're ignoring what's going on in Russia. I don't think they're accusing you of violating international law and trying to fight Russia. I don't think it takes away from what Russia is doing in any way, sir. Seems you might be trying to deflect. Meanwhile, violence has been raging in Israel. It had just started as I was with you guys last on Thursday. This is the third day of violence. We are now entering a ceasefire that started tonight or this evening. So let's catch you up on what has been going on in Gaza. Morgan!
For a third straight day, Israeli forces and Islamic militants are trading fire in the Gaza Strip as the death toll is climbing. Rocket explosions were reported on the outskirts of Jerusalem just this morning, Israel saying they've now killed a second militant leader since the start of their military offensive. The violence has killed at least 20 in Gaza and wounded hundreds more, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Want to bring in now NBC's Matt Bradley, who's standing by for us in London. Matt, talk us through this. And as we have this conversation, kind of take us back to a few days ago and how this all started.
Well, this all started back on Friday when basically the Israeli government announced that they were going to launch what was a preeminent attack to what they said was going to avert an attack, an imminent attack by Palestinian Islamic Jihad. That's an Iran-backed group that is active. They're not ruling, but they're very active in the Gaza Strip, which is actually dominated by a rival militant group called Hamas. So Palestinian Islamic Jihad responded with hundreds of rockets over Friday night as Israel continued to pummel the Gaza Strip all weekend long. And now we've seen that death toll actually rise up to 36 with 311 people injured. That's the latest from the Gazan health authorities. But here is our report.
The Gaza Strip teeters on the edge of all-out war. As an exchange of missiles between...
Now, don't worry, I am playing this from MSNBC, which is probably going to be a little more pro-Zionist than other organizations. We're gonna read from Al Jazeera and actually get the update on what is going on currently on the ground in Gaza here in just a second.
And the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group escalated. It's the worst fighting the Gaza Strip has seen in more than a year. The Israeli military is claiming some deaths were due to a misfired rocket from Gaza, an incident Palestinian officials say killed 6 people. At least 24 Palestinians have been killed so far, among them the entire Islamic Jihad leadership, according to Israel's military.
Wow.
A 5-year-old girl. Mourners for that youngest victim gathered in Gaza City's morgue yesterday. What has she done wrong, this innocent child? She was preparing for kindergarten, her grandfather said. Israel started the fighting with a barrage of missiles it said was meant to preempt an imminent Palestinian attack.
Israel started the fighting. Remember, like, Israel started the fighting. Doesn't this sound familiar? They said they were preeminently avoiding an attack. Jesus Christ.
Gathered in Gaza City's morgue yesterday. What has she done wrong, this innocent child? She was preparing for kindergarten, her grandfather said. Israel started the fighting with a barrage of missiles it said was meant to preempt an imminent Palestinian attack. Palestinian Islamic Jihad...
You know, I didn't think anything of it the first time I heard that, but that was a very weird edit. This is NBC. This is an NBC News correspondent. That was a very unprofessional edit. Did they have to go back in and take something out? Did the reporter say something? Because they're talking about Israel starting the violence.
She was preparing for kindergarten, her grandfather said. Israel started the fighting with a barrage of missiles it said was meant to preempt an imminent Palestinian attack.
Israel started the fighting, and then they edited whatever he said after that out. That's weird. That's weird to me, and that was a very weird edit.
Islamic Jihad responded by firing at least 100 rockets into Israel overnight, most of which Israel intercepted, according to its defense ministry. Only 2 Israelis suffered minor injuries.
You're welcome. That's because of my tax dollars.
A longer fight. A worsening conflict for civilians, but fought on a desperate and deprived Gaza Strip.
Now, according to the BBC and other news agencies, we're hearing that the Egyptians are very close to having inked some kind of truce between Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Israel, but that it seems like we're still waiting to see both parties signing on the dotted line. But if this does come into effect tonight, which is what we're hearing a lot about, that this could be within hours, we'll see.
A ceasefire has taken place. Get the update. We're going to go to Al Jazeera now, which is a source I trust a lot more than U.S. media. Israel and Islamic Jihad agreed to an Egyptian-brokered ceasefire that came into force at 12:30 GMT. I'm sorry, 12:30. 20:30. What, 8 o'clock? 8:30 GMT. The death toll from the Israeli assault on Gaza rose to at least 44, including 15 children. More than 300 people have been injured. Israel's army said it was striking a wide range of Palestinian armed targets in Gaza after the 8:30 GMT ceasefire came into force, responding to rocket fire moments earlier. In a statement sent at 8:33 GMT, the army said, in response to rockets fired towards Israeli territory, the military is currently striking a wide range of targets belonging to the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip.
Well, Palestinian Islamic Jihad is a smaller armed group compared to Hamas, which controls Gaza. The PIJ, as it's known, is reported to have carried out attacks inside Israel for over 40 years. It was founded in the early 1980s by Palestinian activists in Egypt. The group's aim is to create a Palestinian Islamic State within the occupied West Bank, Gaza, and parts of Israel. Islamic Jihad doesn't take part in the Palestinian political process. It rather concentrates on armed resistance against Israel through its military wing, the Al-Quds Brigade. It's active in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. The group has its headquarters in Syria and also reportedly receives funds from Iran. It is designated as a terrorist group by the US, EU, Israel, and the UK. Well, Mkhaima Abu Sada is an associate professor of political science at Al-Azhar University in Gaza. He says Hamas has stayed out of the conflict to avoid further escalation.
Hamas is in a very delicate position. At one thing that they are partners with the Islamic Jihad in their resistance against the Israeli occupation, and they are also partners in what we call it the Joint Mutual Command in the Gaza Strip. But in the meantime, Hamas is...
Core, I always worry about things being made up. That's why I want to get multiple perspectives. Al Jazeera does incredibly good journalism, and they are no fans of Israel. So I feel like we're going to get the truth from them.
Fearing that if they join the fighting with the Islamic Jihad against Israel, Israel will intensify its bombing against Palestinian civilians and Palestinian infrastructure. And also
48 when Israel was founded? Is that it? Is that the... Somebody verify me on that. It's like the late 40s. It's post-World War II.
Inflicted massive destruction on the civilian infrastructure.
48, nailed it off the top. You guys know how shitty my memory is. You've seen it here on this show a million times. But for some reason, I retain information about politics and shit. I have no clue how. I can watch a TV show 2 or 3 times, and then I'll watch it again a few years later. It's like I'm watching a brand new TV show. Don't remember shit about it. But I'll remember the most mundane facts. I can name cabinet secretaries going back in administrations from before I was born. It's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. Anyway. But yeah, I do not feel like naming cabinet secretaries right now. Prove it. Oh, the reason I know is because like in my American government class in college, I had a professor like, but you don't know blah 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 blah's name, and I'm like, yeah, he was the like defense secretary in the blah blah in. I don't remember like which administration it was because it's been 10 years ago. And I impressed the professor. Let me tell you, I had a second senior year because I didn't know what to do with my life after I was ready to graduate. So I stayed an extra year to take classes that I didn't get a chance to take that I wanted to. And in the second semester, my second senior year, I was really checked out. And I show up, I don't even remember the name. It was a 4,000 level American Civics something or other fucking class. And I show up for that class. I didn't go to the first day because, the first day of a class is usually, read the syllabus, blah, 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 blah. I come in the second day for the class, and there's a quiz. There's a quiz over the book that he had assigned. And I was like, well, give me the quiz, if it's about American fucking history, I might be able to get some anyway. It wasn't. It was a book, I don't remember the name of the book, but it was about a guy I don't think it was a true story, but I think it was based on, like, some true events. Like, this dude in North Korea. Because I ended up reading the book. It was a very interesting book. This dude in North Korea had somehow, got sent to a prison camp and ends up, like, killing a colonel and then takes the place of that fucking colonel. And, like, nobody said, because everybody is so afraid to say anything, to go against, like, the party, everybody just accepts him as the colonel after he's been in a fucking prison camp and shit. It was the weirdest fucking book. But that's what he assigned us, so, like, I didn't get any of the fucking questions right on the quiz. So, like, that's like the Thursday of the class. I think we started on Tuesday, Thursday. Or maybe we started on a Thursday. I came in on Tuesday. That was it. That's when I failed the first quiz. And then, like, I didn't have time to read, like, all the chapters of the book between Tuesday and Thursday. So I come in again. I'm like, he's not going to give a quiz again the third day of class. Boom, gives another fucking quiz. And so, like, he makes me stay after class after I failed 2 quizzes and shit. And he's like, if you're not going to apply yourself to this class, there's no reason for you to be in here. And I'm like, whoa. By the end of this class, I'm going to be one of your favorite students. I promise you. It's just, I didn't know you were going to hit me with 2 quizzes right away. This is my second senior year. I've just kind of been checked out. Like, don't worry. And seriously, I'm sure I was probably, like, his favorite student or, he just enjoyed having me in class because, like, I'm by far, like, it was a discussion class. It was like a small, like, 10, 12 student class where we got to argue with each other. I remember one time we were arguing over fracking, and one student was like, I'm all for fracking. It's good for us, blah, 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 blah. And I started talking about earthquakes and being able to light your water on fire and shit. Because this is, like, 2013. And the professor's like, Justin's right on that. It does increase the earthquake frequency. We had to give speeches one time, and I just reworked I have a stand-up comedy bit about speed limits, and because we had to give a speech like we were giving a public policy proposal. I have a thing about speed limits. I have a stand-up comedy bit about speed limits. So I just reworked my comedy bit into that, and it went over really well. I'm sorry, I just got completely off track. We were talking about Israel and Gaza. I'm so fucking sorry. I don't even know why. I don't even know why I got sidetracked there.
Well, Palestinian Islamic Jihad is a smaller armed group compared to Hamas, which controls Gaza. The PIJ, as it's known, is reported to have carried out attacks inside Israel for over 40 years. It was founded in the early 1980s by Palestinian activists in Egypt. The group's aim is to create...
This was a really good piece. I'm glad we watched this and we were learning shit. I'm sorry I detoured us.
Islamic Jihad doesn't take part in the Palestinian political process. It rather concentrates on armed resistance against Israel through its military wing, the Al-Quds Brigade. It's active in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. The group has its headquarters in Syria and also...
Yeah, I'd never heard of these fuckers before.
It is designated as a terrorist group by the US, EU, Israel and the UK. Well, Mkhaima Abu Sada is an associate professor of political science at Al-Azhar University in Gaza. He says Hamas has stayed out of the conflict to avoid further escalation.
Hamas is in a very delicate position. At one thing that they are partners with the Islamic Jihad in their resistance against the Israeli occupation, and they are also partners in what we call it the Joint Mutual Command in the Gaza Strip. But in the meantime, Hamas is fearing that if they join the fighting with the Islamic Jihad against Israel, Israel will intensify its bombing against Palestinian civilians and Palestinian infrastructure, and also headquarters of security services in the Gaza Strip. Last year,
they'll take any opportunity they can to do that,
which inflicted massive destruction on the civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. So this is the only concern that probably deters Hamas from joining the fight against Israel at this moment, that Israel will take that as a justification to continue its bombardment and its destruction against the civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. Now, whether Hamas has the power to put an end to the current fighting between the Islamic Jihad and Israel, I doubt that. It seems to me that Israel has gone too far and Israel has crossed two red lines, which would make it hard for Hamas to convince the Islamic Jihad to stop firing rockets against Israel. I think it's going to take countries like Qatar or Egypt or the UN to try to intervene and mediate an immediate ceasefire between the Islamic Jihad and Israel at the current moment.
And it was Egypt. Interesting. Israel confirms Gaza ceasefire to take effect at 8:30, but still, Israel was still firing. That's the update as of right now. They agreed to a ceasefire, but there was still some fighting going on. And that's what we know. We'll update you tomorrow on the Troll Patrol Live. RB, welcome. Twitch weed, you say. Don't mind if I do. This is weird. Back here to the U.S., I want to alert you to a story that you may not have seen. Albuquerque, New Mexico police are investigating the murder of a fourth Muslim man. They believe that these deaths may be connected. So let's get the local news hit here.
Not something that is confined just to the Islamic community. This is something that impacts us all.
Tonight, many in the metro are on high alert, terrified that a killer or killers may strike again. We have new reaction tonight to a string of Albuquerque murders, brazen ambushes of Muslim men that police say are possibly connected. The latest deadly shooting is possibly the fourth, police say. It happened here overnight at Truman and Grand. That's near a location for refugee services in our city. Police found a South Asian...
Oh, God, this sounds horrible.
Have confirmed his identity with multiple sources in the Muslim community. Here he is on the bottom right portion of your screen. Naeem Hussain, a man in his mid-20s, born in Pakistan. The first murder, police say, was Mohammed Zahir Ahmadi, then 3 in the last 12 days, including Aftab Hussain and Mohammed Afzal Hussain. Here is a map of these 4 killings with the photos of these men. They were all shot and killed in this confined area, from the UNM region, that's on the left side of your screen, to the International District. We have heard some of these gruesome details of their deaths and how loved ones are heartbroken and how it's affecting this whole community. I spoke this week with the brother of Mohammed Zahir Ahmadi. He describes his brother as a wonderful man. He was shot in the head and killed without warning outside their family store. Less than 2 weeks ago, Aftab Hussein was shot and killed on Rhode Island Street in West Albuquerque. We know that he was from Pakistan. Just yesterday, the Muslim community buried a very prominent figure. Hundreds came to honor the life of Muhammad Afzal Hussein. He was only 27 years old, but he was highly involved in the UNM international community, and he was working as a planner for the city of Espanola. Muhammad Afzal was shot and killed in front of his apartment building. This is in the Cornell area near the UNM campus. This happened on Monday night. It's an area where many international students live. Now, APD and other state and federal law enforcement agencies are asking for your help, for everyone in the public, to help catch whoever is responsible for this string of murders. They have an urgent message today. It's for the community, and they believe that someone may be targeting Muslim men. Again, let's bring in Spencer Schott now. Spencer, you learned more about the city's approach today.
Yeah, Tommy, in today's press conference, the city did something I have never seen before. They brought in multiple interpreters to translate APD's call.
ORB. We've got batshit crazy video of Marjorie Taylor Greene we will see here in just a little while. I promise you.
For help to ensure the people who are potentially in danger hear the warning in their native language. Along with English, we heard APD's and the FBI's call for help in 4 languages, commonly spoken in Muslim communities, like Arabic.
We cannot denounce strongly enough what appears to be the targeting of people because of their race and religion.
Hindi.
We urge our entire interfaith.
Well, I loved the fact that the television channel was doing the message in multiple languages, but having the English translation over it kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? KOB4. Just saying. Because I assume you're local to the community and you want them to... I'm sorry. But this is a wild story, so I'm gonna have to keep track of this. The most recent killing happened yesterday morning. I'm saying yes, the story is wild, and there seems to be a hate crime being committed in this community, targeting a specific community. But if they want for the same reason that the cops did it, if they want that message to be able to get out to everybody, the station should have played the message in multiple languages. I thought that's what they were doing, and I thought that was very cool of them. That wasn't exactly what happened. A police training exercise. Kills a woman. A retired officer fatally shoots a woman during a police training exercise at a Washington, D.C. library.
Officer down.
Police say that
There's an Anacostia. Officer down. Officer down. All units convert to Anacostia. All units convert to Anacostia. Officer down. Officer down.
Police say the training session was held in a lower level room at the Anacostia Library on Good Hope Road Southeast. Its purpose was to teach a group of D.C. library police officers how to use an extendable police baton. Sources familiar with the investigation tell News 4 that when the trainer, described by officials as a retired MPD lieutenant, drew a pistol to illustrate how quickly it could be done, he fired one shot, striking an officer in the chest. She was unconscious and not breathing when emergency responders arrived around 3:30 p.m. DC
Stupid fuck.
He spoke at the scene. He was asked why the training included.
And also, like, this isn't the first this is like the third that I know of death in a police training this year. And one of them is definitely a little fucky. Like, the one seems to be like the cops were ambushing another cop. And I wonder if, Don't get me wrong. I will never underestimate the stupidity of fucking pigs. I believe they are stupid enough to accidentally shoot a live round into someone. Yes. To accidentally shoot somebody. They are that stupid. They're not trained professionals. So, like, I will never rule out the stupidity of cops, but I also wonder, like, you can't rule out maliciousness.
Real bullets known as live ammunition.
Not certain why. I don't have answers as to why the live firearm was in an Aspeton training. I don't have those answers for you right now.
D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner Barbara Clark was on the scene shortly after the shooting.
Aspeton training.
Children are the ones that you really worry about because they come to the library in the summertime. It's cool. They got the computers and they got programs.
All patrons were safely
I like that woman.
in the library in the moments after the shooting. They
got computers, they got programs. Yes, ma'am, they do. Yes, they do. She might have not been talking about computer programs. She might have been talking about like programs at the library for the children's to learn and to occupy their time. Alabama City disbands police force after racist text messages revealed. Shocker.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
I believe it was the woke moralists. City Council in small community of Vincent votes to terminate police chief, assistant, and then the whole department. The small city of Vincent in Alabama has voted to disband its police force after the revelation of racist text messages exchanged between two of its officers. In the exchange, which recently surfaced on social media, one user named 752 asked, "What do y'all call a pregnant slave?" To this, one person who is not identifiable through the text responded with question marks. The user named 752 then responded, "BOGO, buy one, get one free." Wow. Now remember, this is Alabama. Messages were first reported by AL.com on Tuesday, the same day the Vincent City Council met to decide on the issue. Earlier on Tuesday, the police chief, James Shirgley, had said that the department had conducted an internal investigation and that they had taken appropriate disciplinary actions. They found nothing. They did nothing wrong, I'm sure. But on Thursday, Shirgley himself was identified as one of the officers who was terminated. Assistant Chief, you will better lose your job. You will better lose your job. Assistant Chief John L. Goss was also terminated, and the city council then voted to disband the whole department. On Friday, the sheriff's office of Shelby County said in a statement they condemned these actions and their office was helping the citizens with emergency law enforcement service. The population of the town southeast of Birmingham is about 2,000 as of 2021. Fewer than 500 African Americans and only 8 Hispanic people live there. In Vincent, Alabama. In Vincent, Alabama. I lived in Alabama for 6 years, 7 years. And also, when I was like 19 or 20, I was the district manager of most of Alabama for a week. I've never even heard of Vincent, Alabama. Just throwing that out there. A judge to decide if firing squad or electric chair is cruel. In 2022. What do you guys think? Is the firing squad or the electric chair cruel? And would any of you Select those as your means if you were punished to die. I've been to Birmingham many times. Answer the firing squad question. Say you have been convicted of a capital crime. Would firing squad or electric chair be anyone's choice? Given what we know about lethal injection, knowing that it is an incredibly painful process, would anyone choose firing squad? Warlord is not subscribed to the Troll Patrol. What? I thought you were like my longest subscriber, Warlord. That's a shock to me. You were at one point in time, and you may be like the longest subscriber. Maybe you weren't saying that you were getting a break and that you were out. Okay, hold on. I read that as two different sentences because they're on two different lines. I read it as I'm getting break, me out, as in that you were getting a commercial break, and that you were no longer, which also wouldn't make sense because you're talking to me. You're getting broken out of jail is what you're saying. You're getting broken out of jail. Did they give Quaaludes? Are Quaaludes even still a thing anymore? Didn't they quit making those? Whether South Carolina can start executing prisoners again, either with a firing squad. I shouldn't laugh. My God. Whether South Carolina can start executing prisoners again, either with a firing squad or electric chair, is now the hands of a judge after a trial over whether shooting or electrocuting inmates is cruel and unusual punishment banned by the U.S. Constitution. Lawyers for 4 death row. It doesn't matter. The Supreme Court is going to rule it's okay. This judge rules against it. It gets challenged. It gets taken up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to rule whatever the fuck is okay. They're not going to care. We're going to be able to use like medieval fucking torture devices again that the Catholic Church used to be inflicting on people. They're going to put you in the fucking penis pool with the spikes on it and shit. Lawyers for 4 death row inmates argued this week the prisoners would feel terrible pain whether their bodies were cooking by electricity or heart stopped by marksman bullets, assuming they are on target. Attorneys for the... Well, that's why there's like 7 people shooting all at once, and they all take like fucking... Like, they empty a chamber. They empty the entire like fucking chamber into you. Entire clip, whatever the fuck they're using. Attorneys for the state countered with their own experts who said death by yet-to-be-used firing squad or the rarely used this century electric chair would be instantaneous and the condemned would not feel any pain. I believe both of those are false. The state Supreme Court ordered Judge Jocelyn Newman to rule within 30 days, but it almost certainly won't be the end of the case. Whichever side loses is expected to appeal. From 1995 to 2011, when the state's last execution was performed, South Carolina carried out the death penalty on 36 prisoners with lethal injection. But the state's supply of lethal injection drugs expired in 2013, and pharmaceutical companies have refused to sell more for executions. Prison officials asked lawmakers to help, and in 2021 they made the state's electric chair, built in 1912, the default method for executions, and let prisoners choose a new firing squad if they wish. Choose between firing squad or electric chair. During this week's trial, a corrections department official said he devised the firing squad protocols after consulting a prison official in Utah. Location of only 3 inmates to die by firing squad since 1977. Collie Rushton, the department's security director, testified the .308 Winchester ammunition to be used is designed to fragment and split up in the heart to make death happen as fast as possible. Much of the rest of the trial was each side calling its own experts to detail whether inmates feel any pain before they die. The human brain remains conscious at least 15 seconds after a person's heart stops beating, said Dr. Jonathan Arden, who formerly led the Washington, D.C. Medical Examiner's Office. Arden, testifying on behalf of the inmates, said it appeared at least 10% of prisoners in cases he reviewed remain conscious after the first shock of an electrocution. Lightning strike in Washington, D.C., right in front of the White House. Killed 3 people. 1 was critically injured.
And we're getting new information about the 4 people struck by lightning in Lafayette Park earlier this week, right in front of the White House. 3 of them have died. You see them right there. A married couple from Janesville, Wisconsin, James and Dunn.
I don't see them. I'm sorry. There's some kind of like ad up.
And a young professional in this week, right in front of the White House. 3 of them have died. You see them right there. A married couple from Janesville, Wisconsin, James and Dunn Mueller. They were 76 and 75 years old. And a young professional in town for business, 29-year-old Brooks Lambert.
Struck by lightning in front of the White House.
I'm Lorenzo Hall. Tonight, we know the 4th person hit is still in the hospital. Our Rafael Sanchez Cruz is staying on top of this for us tonight. Hey, Rafael.
Yeah, Lorenzo, members from the Secret Service and Park Service were able to render aid to the 4 victims, but 3 out of those 4 victims have succumbed to their injuries.
The 3rd fatal victim of the lightning strike that injured 4 people at Lafayette Square has been identified as 29-year-old Brooks Lambertson, a vice president at City National Bank that was in Washington, D.C. for business. In a statement, his employer described the Los Angeles resident saying, Brooks was an incredible young man who will be remembered for his generosity, kindness, and unwavering positivity. The lightning strike also claimed the lives of a married couple in their 70s from Janesville, Wisconsin. James and Donna Mueller were visiting the nation's capital, celebrating their wedding anniversary. Their neighbors reacting to the tragedy.
I am not sure if this news hit is going to play the lightning strike, so allow me to show it to you. It is wild.
2 people were killed and 2 others were seriously hurt yesterday after a lightning strike near the White House. This video shows the huge bolt which hit the ground across the street from the executive mansion. 2 men and 2 women were later found unconscious, and then 2 of them later passed away at the hospital.
Of all the places you could be where lightning come down.
You would never think that simply standing outside would take your life. And it's just a shock to process that. And it's a shock to process that it happened to people that are so close to you.
A 4th woman was hospitalized and was said to be in critical condition.
They were under the tree, which of course we know that's the last place you need to stand with lightning strikes.
D.C. Fire and Emergency Services reminding people that Thursday's incident is not the first time someone is struck in front of the White House.
There was an incident that also took place at Lafayette Park when the National Guard was here present during when we were having issues here in the district, and we had some guardsmen who were struck by lightning.
What, in 2020, is that what he's talking about?
Just yesterday, we saw lightning and storms hit our region again. D.C. and fire and EMS cannot.
I think what he's talking about is when like the whole incident happened with Trump marching down to the park and they cleared the protesters during the 2020 BLM protests. Like when we were having troubles down there.
Say it enough. If you see lightning, go indoors and avoid sheltering underneath trees, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, that was wild. Do you want to see the video one more time? I already closed it out, didn't I? It's still there. One more time.
And 2 people were killed and 2 others were seriously hurt yesterday after a lightning strike near the White House. This video shows the huge bolt which hit the ground across the street from the executive mansion. 2 men and 2 women were later found unconscious, and then 2 of them later passed away at the hospital.
It was a wild-ass storm.
2 people were killed and 2 others were seriously hurt yesterday after a lightning strike near the White House. This video shows the huge bolt which hit the ground.
All right, when we come back from commercial break, we're going to talk about Indiana banning most abortions. The Senate passes the Inflation Reduction Act. The Republicans got their carve out for the SALT deduction. Democrats failed to put a cap on insulin costs. Senator Bernie Sanders is going to run down the Democrats for their dishonesty. Lindsey Graham got admonished about not following decorum in the Senate. Plus, Graham has a message for Donald Trump if he wants to run in 2024, which we're also going to unveil to you the results of a straw poll from CPAC. Roger Waters has beef with CNN. We're going to hear batshit crazy speeches from the CPAC convention. The Earth is spinning faster, and scientists are meeting to determine why that is and what we're going to do about it. It's apparently making days shorter. All that and more when we come back from break here on the Troll Patrol Live.
Now we turn to YouTuber Justin FREAKIN. The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the culture. Uncensored and unfiltered political talk and debate from a leftist perspective. The day's top news stories and videos with astute social commentary.
Not high enough for this shit.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Right-wingers are morons.
You brought back the wrong kind of fucking cake, you idiot.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to Justin FREAKIN.
Yet you're like, we'll pray for somebody. You think you can telepathically communicate with a deity, and you have the audacity to say somebody else has a mental disorder. For the love of God. Hi, I'm Justin FREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out. Trying to catch it before it hits that freak show commercial break. I remember now. Here's your meme. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. My cat. Rage Against the Machine. Smokey. Come here. Come here, Smokey. Yeah, he ain't gonna do what I tell him. I don't know how this motherfucker survived 8 days out in the wild. He ain't done nothing but lay here since he got back. Like, that's all he fucking does. How'd you survive out in the wild, buddy, for 8 fucking days? He ain't coming. He rolled back over. He's not even looking at me anymore. He at least looked at me when I was first talking to him. You get no Smokey. Smokey. Nope, won't even look at me now. Sorry. Oh, back to the depressing news, I guess. Not so much depressing. After we get past the abortion shit, we're into talking about legislative maneuvering and making fun of right-wingers.
Over the chants of protesters, lawmakers in Indiana passed a bill late Friday night that would ban most abortions. The first state to pass such a restrictive law since Roe v. Wade was overturned this summer. The move drew outrage from Democrats and some Republicans who felt the measure went too far and others who felt it did not.
If you're pro-choice, you can't be happy. I don't know who left here happy. All I know is people need to go out and vote in November.
I held my pro-choice views until the first ultrasound that I had of my very planned first daughter. And in that instance, when I saw a heartbeat, I couldn't believe that I ever felt like it would be okay to kill that child.
That's called an emotive argument, ma'am. It is not killing fucking. Oh my God.
Minutes after the vote, the law, which goes into effect on September 15th, provides exceptions for when the life of the mother is at risk and for fatal fetal anomalies up to 20 weeks post-fertilization. It also allows exceptions for some abortions if the pregnancy was the result of rape or incest. The vote came days after voters in Kansas overwhelmingly rejected an effort to remove abortion protections from their state constitution. On Saturday, the White House blasted the vote in Indiana. Quote, yesterday's vote, which institutes a near total ban in Indiana, should be a signal to Americans across the country to make their voices heard. Congress should also act immediately to pass a law restoring the protections of Roe, the only way to secure a woman's right to choose nationally. Caitlin Bernard, the Indiana OBGYN who provided abortion services for a 10-year-old Ohio rape victim who crossed state lines in June, says she worries that even with exceptions, doctors fear they could be prosecuted for providing an emergency procedure to pregnant women.
You know how to save their lives, and yet you're
or that they will wait too long to do the procedure. Because we gotta make absolutely fucking sure, because we're worried about prosecution from these dumb fuck Republicans. It is insidious.
You're wondering, well, who do I have to check with? Who's going to second guess me? Do I call my lawyer? Do I call the county prosecutor? You know, is this going to go to the state attorney general, which we know can be incredibly dangerous for physicians, as I've experienced.
Motherfucker. Cicero, welcome. Good evening. I wish we were meeting under more favorable circumstances. However, it's going to get a little bit lighter here in just a moment. But first, let's hear from one of the lawmakers in Indiana. Went on CNN. to say she's not a murderer.
Indiana. Representative PAC, so good to see you. First, I'd like to get your reaction to this new restrictive law.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just been absolutely devastating, this reality that people in Indiana are now facing.
I am fantastic. I hope you are doing well this
so
evening.
many times over the past
the only thing is my heart breaks for the people of Indiana now that they have this restrictive law that they passed Friday evening banning almost all abortions. They say they have a exception for rape and incest and up to 20 weeks for fetal abnormalities. This is one of the Democratic lawmakers who is upset that they've been called a murderer by these right-wing lunatics.
Emotions were just so high that it was sometimes hard to just stay in the chamber. But we've got our answer now. We know for sure that starting September 15th, 2022, except for a few exceptions, abortion will be illegal.
You spoke out against the ban yesterday on the Indiana House floor, saying that you are standing against further oppression of young girls and women in Indiana. What kind of impact do you believe this is going to directly have on women starting September 15th?
Women will die.
The impact is going to be felt by all women, even if you're not pregnant, but just that choice that you're no longer going to have is going to be very impactful and negatively impactful.
Women are going to die, and it's for a multitude of reasons. From not being able to escape abusive relationships because they get knocked up by some dude and they have a kid and they're going to later die from escalating abuse. They're going to die from not receiving the proper medical care that they need for a miscarriage or any number of issues with pregnancies, or they're going to die for seeking an abortion that is unregulated, unlicensed. And I'm sure I'm leaving circumstances out. Women are going to die because of this. And fuck all of these ghouls in the Republican Party. Fuck the pro-life Democrats. Fuck anyone who doesn't stand up loudly against this oppression. Sorry, went on a little bit of a rant there.
Starting the 15th, those that can and have the means to leave the state of Indiana and get an abortion will be able to do so. My biggest concern are those that are economically challenged, that don't have the means to travel out of state, maybe get a hotel room for the night. And what will they do? And it just takes us back to the 50s and the 60s. I mean, the 60s were during my lifetime where women were dying or getting deathly ill because they were using unsafe practices for abortions. That's a big, big fear of mine.
Well, now, yesterday, you certainly got a lot of people's attention too, because you share your own personal experience and how in 1990 you had an abortion while serving in the Army. And, well, let's just play what it is that you said, and then I want to ask you a few other things.
It is hard to believe that the freedom I had in 1990 will not be there for women after September 15th, 2022. And let me mention this. I have served my country in the United States Army, regular Army. And when I was in Fort Hood, I made a choice. I was married, I had 2 children, but I had to make a choice about whether I wanted to continue in the military and give birth to another child, or whether I was going to choose my career. April, Fort Hood, Texas. The year was 1990.
Perfectly acceptable decision to make.
It was not, after everything I've been through in my life, all the obstacles, all the adversities, after serving, after raising my family, grandchildren, it took me getting to this state house for my colleagues to call me a murderer. It is hard.
I mean, so many things came from that that you revealed, and you know, one thing to hear your colleagues call you and women seeking an abortion murderers. Tell me what that feels like. Colleagues that perhaps you felt like you could work together on so many other types of legislation, and then to hear them call you murderer, and to hear other women, state it that way as well.
And, Frederica, that's what keeps us from being able to work together, because it's important that all of us within the House or the Senate know that we don't have all the answers, and we're going to have to come together.
Well, you can't work together with fascists.
We're going to have to work together. But a particular colleague of mine who...
But I've been saying we get lighter as we go on, but we're actually getting to CPAC, where they get even more overtly fascist. So I don't know, while we're going to laugh at just how comically insane it all is, it's really fucking scary. They're going to get super fucking... What we're going to hear from Ted Cruz and Rick Scott is going to blow your... Maybe it probably won't blow your mind. If you're a regular follower of politics, it's not going to blow your mind at all, because you know exactly who those fucks are. But a normal person, it would blow their fucking mind. Like, wow, that's a really mask-off fucking fascist.
We heard it all week about Christianity and loving Jesus and all that, and he's supposed to be this type of a minister. And he's the one that spewed those ugly remarks to me and to anybody else, I believe, that is a woman or capable of carrying a child. It was hurtful, but I think it was at that instance when he called out that word 5, 6, 7 times on the podium that I said, you know what? I'm going to tell my story. I want people to know that these are women that are working hard. They're raising families. They're working. They're doing everything they're supposed to do. And me and my sisters, we are not murderers. We just took control of our own bodies and made our own decisions along with our doctor about our medical future.
Mm-hmm. And so that was a spur of the moment thing for you to say, I'm going to reveal this part of my story today.
And mad props to you, ma'am.
Like it will help, in part, sharing that helps educate some people.
They're not even putting your name up on the screen.
Is to be at that juncture, and you expressed
Frederica Whitfield. Oh, I know, that's the CNN.
You made a decision.
Renee Pack.
Do you feel like
Renee Pack.
There are just too
Representative Renee Pack.
Emotionally.
Hey, Sky Comet, what's going on?
When you're at that juncture.
And let me say this first, Frederica.
I'm sorry that you missed her speech on the. Let's go back and watch it, because Sky Comet's here. Yes. Renee Pack, Representative Renee Pack from Indiana. This is shortly before they passed this restrictive abortion bill.
I had in 1990 will not be there for women after September 15th, 2022. And let me mention this. I have served my country in the United States Army, regular Army. And when I was in Fort Hood, I made a choice. I was married, I had 2 children, but I had to make a choice about whether I wanted to continue in the military and give birth to another child, or whether I was going to choose my career. April, Fort Hood, Texas. The year was 1990. And I made a choice. And let me tell you this. It was not, after everything I've been through in my life, all the obstacles, all the adversities, after serving, after raising my family, grandchildren, it took me getting to this state house for my colleagues to call me a murderer. It is hard.
I mean, so many things came from that.
She is amazing. That's why I was upset at CNN for not putting her name up on screen.
One thing to hear your
Representative Renee Pack of Indianapolis.
Seeking an abortion, murderers. Tell me what.
We're going to have to come together. We're going to have to collaborate. We're going to have to work together. But a particular colleague of mine who, you know, we heard it all week about Christianity and loving the Jesus and all that. And he's supposed to be this type of a minister. And he's the one that spewed those ugly remarks to me and to anybody else, I believe, that is a woman or capable of carrying a child. It was hurtful, but I think it was at that instance when he called out that word 5, 6, 7 times on the podium that I said, you know what? I'm going to tell my story. I want people to know that these are women that are working hard, they're raising families, they're working, they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And me and my sisters, we are not murderers.
No hate like Christian love.
And made our own decisions along with our doctor about our medical future.
And so that was a spur of the moment thing for you to say, I'm going to reveal this part.
Oh, it was just spur of the moment she got up there.
And do you feel like it will help, in part, sharing that helps educate some people as to how...
Representative Renee Pack, I hope I'm saying your name well into the future. I love you. You are amazing.
How you made a decision.
Mad props to you.
There are just too many who don't understand how emotionally difficult it is when you're at that juncture.
And let me say this first, Frederica. We did not, I love the way Kansas handled this. They had a vote where the people, you know, answered, do you want to keep this as a medical option or not? Here, it was decided upon, and I mentioned this in my speech on the floor yesterday. I don't know what the median age is in there, but I know it's 70% male, and most of those heads were bald or gray. And you all really feel like you're the ones that need to be making these decisions for everyone else out there. Let's take it to the vote in November and let the people decide. But yes, I was not going to say anything about my own experiences, but it got to a point where we have to know these are our next door neighbors. These are our friends. These are our coworkers. You don't just go out.
I am so proud of any woman who gets up and tells their abortion story. Like not my place to tell anybody that, like, oh, hey, you need to go and say this. I don't know, but like I want two women like Representative Pack. I want to show them the proper support and respect when they do it. And so this is why I did not care one bit to go back and watch her speech on the Indiana House floor. I really, like, I want to go out of my way to point out her name. Like, the CNN does have it up on the Chiron now.
I think I'm going to have an abortion today. No, it's a thought out process that women should be trusted.
Nobody just does it willy-nilly.
To handle themselves and not the state House of Representatives or the state Senate.
Indiana State Representative Renee Pack, thank you so much for being with us today.
And you know, like, hey, I'm a male and, like, I haven't had an abortion, but I have had a child of mine that was aborted. And I would like to say publicly that I handled it horribly. For, like, it has nothing to do with any kind of pro-choice, pro-life, any kind of shit like that. I was just not a supportive person. I was young, dumb, and like I did not handle it well at all, and I should have been loving and supporting to my partner at the time, and I was not. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. Just like, hey, I'm on the record. It's like I would love to be able to say that like I held her hand and helped her through that, but I did not. I was a horrible young man. I was a horrible young man. That's my abortion story. And don't be like me. You know somebody in your life going through something like that, fucking love them. Carl, that's a great fucking question. If the earth is spinning faster, or are we getting older faster? I wonder, we're going to do that story that's later on in the show. I wonder if we're going to get that answer. Don't tell me that, because I already feel like I'm getting older faster. But like that's a whole thing with like time relativity and shit. I like a living. Unlike most millennials and below, I like living. I've had a lot of fun. I like doing drugs, and I like eating food, going to restaurants and concerts. These are just some of my favorite things. I fucked the song. I fucked the song up so bad. It took me a long time to mature, Sky Comet. I am not proud of who I was in my teens and my 20s. I was a shit person. And some people, Sparkles would tell you right now I'm a shit person. Like, my former best friend Molly would tell you I'm a shit person, so maybe I'm still a shit person. I don't know. I like to think that I've grown, but who knows? Let's talk about the Democrats. They passed their climate tax and healthcare bill after a marathon voting session. The Senate on Sunday passed the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. Yeah, once again, that name fucks with me. If you know about history, the IRA is something completely different. It passed along party lines, 51-50, handing Democrats a crucial legislative win as the midterm cycle ramps up. Despite GOP objections that the billions in spending and drug pricing reforms, the sprawling climate tax and healthcare legislation is now set up for quick passage in the Democratic-controlled House, with timing still to be announced before President Joe Biden signs it into law. This is the passage, the vote happening earlier today.
The Senate working through the weekend as Democrats look to pass their sweeping climate, tax, and healthcare package. The amendment process, known as Votorama, began on Saturday night, continuing on Sunday, with senators voting on a series of amendments ahead of the final vote on the Inflation Reduction Act. Using special Senate budget rules, Democrats needed just a simple majority to pass the bill. They had no votes to spare.
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Senator Bernie Sanders, with 5 last-minute amendments.
This is what is called budget reconciliation. They're allowed to pass anything that has to do with the budget with just 50 votes and not have to go through cloture. Bernie had five amendments.
Hoping to push the bill further on fossil fuels, prescription drugs.
Let's hear from Bernie before we go on in this piece, shall we? Because I already had that laid out. Bernie was on MSNBC this morning. discussing the bill with Ali Velshi.
The ongoing marathon vote on the Senate floor is the Senator Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. Senator Sanders, thank you for making time to come away. I understand you are headed toward another vote at some point. Where do we stand on this bill? And tell me a little bit about your objection to it. You are going to vote in favor of the passage of this act, but you did speak against something about it and propose an amendment.
Well, Ali, look, this country faces enormous crises in terms of health care, the high cost of prescription drugs, child care, higher education, climate, income and wealth inequality. This is what we call a reconciliation bill. And what that means is that we only need 50 votes. You don't have to get 60 votes. You don't need any Republican votes to do something significant for working families in this country. And unfortunately for, fairly...
I believe he's right outside the Senate chamber. You got that dome going on.
Votes that we need really to impact the needs of working families. So I have offered a series of amendments to strengthen the bill, which have not succeeded. Bottom line is that you have a bill...
Unfortunately.
Good things. We put some $300 billion into clean energy. And at a time when we face an existential threat in terms of climate...
So the Democrats claimed that the amendments that Bernie put forward would cause like Manchin or Sinema not to go for the bill. And therefore they didn't want to make any changes whatsoever. So they were voting down every amendment so they could vote for the bill. And that was their line of reasoning against Bernie. Now Bernie is running down the good things the bill actually does.
This is a step forward. But on the other hand, as part of the deal, we're allowing oil and gas companies the opportunity to drill on millions of acres of public water and land. We're giving more tax breaks and corporate welfare to the oil industry. There is a reason why BP and Shell, two of the largest oil companies in this country, are supporting the bill. In terms of prescription drugs, this legislation takes a very baby step forward. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. In some cases, you well know, we've talked about it, 10 times more than Canadians. What this bill does is say that Medicare should negotiate prescription drug prices, but only after 4 years, and they start off with only 10 drugs and go from there. So it's a very modest step forward. Bottom line is I'm going to support the bill because given the crisis of climate change, the environmental community says this is a step forward. It doesn't go anywhere near as far as it should. It is a step forward.
And obviously, of all the matters in there, these two issues, whether it be climate or health care, are near and dear to both of our hearts. I want to talk specifically.
Bernie fixing his hair.
You had an amendment, 5210, requiring
it doesn't do much.
Not pay more than the VA.
It's a baby step. It's a baby step in the right direction. That's what Bernie said.
Right now, I don't know if anybody knows this. For 30 years, the Veterans Administration has been negotiating prescription drug prices with the VA, similar to what
IRA just strikes up a different connotation for me.
Pays half as much for prescription drugs as Medicare. Now, how insane is it that in one federal government, you got the VA paying 50% of what Medicare is paying for prescription drugs? So all that my amendment said is, you know what? Medicare should not pay any more than the VA. Do what they've been doing for 30 years. Now, when you take on
City Cal, I love it. Welcome, by the way.
Here in Washington, D.C., they have an unlimited amount of money to make sure we pay outrageously high prices. They got 1,700 paid lobbyists. So bottom line is this legislation.
Oh, we desperately need an investment in public housing in this country. We need more housing stock that's affordable, that isn't run by some fucking greedy fucking landlord. That would bring costs of housing down if you had a public option, just like with healthcare. Nice apartments, not fucking shitty ghetto shit. Build nice apartments, make them accessible. Don't have a waiting list that's 10 fucking years long. But we're never gonna get anything like that out of the fucks that we have in Congress now. The only person that's doing anything is Bernie Sanders. And poor Bernie, he's fighting an uphill battle. My God, he's old. He must be tired. He's been fighting an uphill battle his entire fucking career.
Legislation is a baby step forward. It doesn't go as far as it should.
You had another amendment which caught my interest, and that was the establishment of a civilian climate corps. What does that mean?
Well, what that's about is the bill puts $300 billion into clean energy, and that's a good thing. That's probably the best thing in the bill. But, the leaders, as you well know, in America and all over the world, the people...
I mean, we've got some fantastic representatives. They just don't have anything to work with. They're not the ones calling the shots. They're not Bernie is the only one that has any modicum of power as the Budget Committee chairman in the Senate. There are a few of the squad members that sit on committees. They did their best to fucking, they took Katie Porter off the banking committee where she wanted to be. So it's they're fighting an uphill battle. A league of tug. I did not see that, Core. We're gonna look into that.
People who have been leading the effort to take on the fossil fuel industry and transform our energy system, they are the young people. They're out on the streets. They're demonstrating. They're demanding disinvestment from fossil fuel companies. They've been the leader. And what these young people want to do is they want to be able to roll up their sleeves and go to work in doing energy efficiency, doing sustainable energy. And what this legislation is about, and we had it in the original Build Back Better bill, it provides $30 billion in providing good jobs for some 400,000 young people, educational benefits. And it says, we need your help. Help us to transform our energy system. And it would have, I believe, created a lot of excitement among young people.
Senator, before I let you go, there's definitely new energy in the air, possibly around the Supreme Court case.
Let's fucking hope.
Roe v. Wade, that are getting people to turn out for these primaries and getting them more interested. You said that there are things, whether it's to do with healthcare or climate, that are baby steps in this bill. Do you get some impression that perhaps in these midterms or in the coming 2 years, there will be an energy behind more than baby steps when it comes to climate and healthcare in America?
I worry very much that the Democrats have not done as much as they should in terms of responding to the needs of working families. It is no great secret that we're losing white working class voters, Latino working class voters, black working class voters. On the other hand, what the Supreme
RB, don't be creepy. Don't be creepy.
Has done, probably inadvertently, when they say that no woman in the United States of America has the right to control her own body. Man, that sends off a signal all over this country, in Kansas, in Vermont, all over this country.
Boy, howdy.
I think what you're going to see is a real response to that disgraceful decision, and people are going to be saying, you know what? It is not government that should tell a woman how she controls her body. It is a woman herself. And I think you are going to see increased voter turnout, and I think the Republicans may regret very much what their Supreme Court has done.
Senator, good to see you. Thanks for taking some time away from the floor. I know you guys have been working for a long time.
But we don't just need voter turnout. We need
many more hours.
Young people running for office. Fuck the Democratic Party indeed. What's up, Mandy? Good evening. Good evening. Now back to the passage of the bill. I have more in-depth stories about the bill, though.
Healthcare. But those amendments failed as Democrats remained united to pass the bill.
We are elated. Every member of my caucus is elated about what happened because we've really...
I bet you are with this corporate giveaway, Chucky boy.
Make the biggest single investment in clean energy in the nation's history. allow Medicare to negotiate some prescription prices, set a $2,000 annual cap on drug costs for seniors, and lock in a minimum corporate tax rate of 15%.
I do want, and by the way, there's a carve out on that 15%. And I'm going to point out this biggest investment ever in clean energy. That's only true because there has never been any investment in clean energy. So this fact is true, but the bar was nothing. They could have invested $1 and it was the biggest investment ever in clean energy. So that's just want to be factual here. And they were not able to cap insulin. That was one of the Sanders amendments that failed.
This is going to reduce the costs that hit American families in their pocketbook. Prescription drug costs, healthcare costs, energy costs. It's going to make for a more secure and stable and cleaner and more affordable future for American families.
But Republicans disagree.
Now, they talk about it being on big corporations, but big corporations raise prices. They do pass it all down. So from our perspective, we will see those tax increases coming down the line, and Americans are going to feel it.
With only 3 months till midterms, Democrats hope to get the bill to President Biden's desk as quickly as possible. Deirdre Bolton, ABC News, New York.
Oh shit, it is the midterms. I need to get my license over here. I need to make sure I'm able to vote. Let's talk about the SALT carve-out. GOP private equity carve-out amendment approved. The Senate is still voting on a lengthy series of amendments to the Democrats' $437 billion climate, health, and tax package, leading up to the expected passage of the legislation. And one of the quirks of Senate rules being employed by Democrats to pass the bill with a simple majority, Republicans have the chance to offer scores of amendments. Most are designed to force Democratic senators to take politically fraught positions on contentious issues. In a 50-50 Senate, Republicans can force a change in legislation with help from just one member of the Democratic caucus. Extended SALT cap quickly replaced by Democrats. Senate Democrats have voted 51-50 to strip out an extension of the $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions inserted by Republicans and replaced it with their own new revenue-raising provision. The vote on the amendment from Virginia Senator Mark Warner came after swing state senators helped the GOP pass an amendment to the bill extending the SALT cap for 1 year in order to pay for a new carve-out from the 15% corporate for private equity subsidies. Man, I have no clue what that just said. But I'm pretty sure they approved a carve-out where they're not even paying the 15%. Because that was something that Cinema wanted. That's why she is pictured here in the article. Democrats fail to overrule the parliamentarian on insulin price caps. Yeah, Core, it was the way the article was worded was weird. So I have no, was the author drunk? I'm not exactly sure. It fucked with me too. I didn't know if I was too high for this shit. Democrats failed to overrule the parliamentarian on insulin price cap as GOP votes no. Senate Democrats fell short of an effort on Sunday to overrule a decision by the parliamentarian that effectively struck down a proposal sponsored by Senator Raphael Warnock to cap out-of-pocket insulin costs at $35 a month for people not covered by Medicare. Senator Lindsey Graham, the ranking member of the Budget Committee, sought to enforce the parliamentarian's ruling that Warnock's cap on insulin price violated the Byrd Rule because it would set prices in the commercial market and therefore couldn't pass with a simple majority vote. I like that they invoke the Byrd rule, but so often I get told that Robert Byrd was a leader of the Klan. He wasn't, by the way. Senate Democrats insisted on a vote to waive the procedural objection to put Republican senators on record, including Senator Ron Johnson, the most vulnerable member of the GOP conference, on the record as opposing a popular proposal to rein in insulin prices. The Senate voted 57-43 to waive the procedural objection against the insulin price cap, but Democrats scored a symbolic victory when 7 Republicans voted with Democrats. The Republicans that voted with them were Bill Cassidy, amazingly enough, Susan Collins, Josh Hawley, good on Hawley, John Kennedy in Louisiana, Cindy Hyde Smith, Murkowski, and Dan Sullivan in Alaska. What a wild lineup of Republicans. Wasn't expecting that one. Earlier today, Lindsey Graham was warned about violating Senate decorum rules. I tried my best to find video of this, and I couldn't. Hold on, I'm going to go one more time to the Twitter to see if I can find video, because like this was on C-SPAN. Has to exist. Nothing. See, the story is out here. Where is the video? Why is there no video of it? Because it sounds like a fun moment. Senator Lindsey Graham received a warning early Sunday morning to follow the Senate's decorum rules after he accused Senator Maggie Hassan of being deceitful and dishonest and vowed, "We're going to call you out." This gives phony and cynical a bad name, Graham exclaimed when Hassan introduced her amendment. Graham's outburst at Hassan prompted Senator Chris Murphy to sternly remind the South Carolina senator not to impugn the motives of a fellow senator. Murphy reminded Graham and all senators not to impute to another senator or another senator's any conduct or motive unworthy or unbecoming of a senator. The admonishment came after Graham slammed Hassan, who faces a competitive re-election race this November, for proposing an alternative to his amendment to strike a 16.4 cent a barrel tax on imported petroleum products and foreign oil refined in the United States. I sure would have liked to have seen this exchange. This would have been great on video. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it. However, I can show you Lindsey Graham, who had a message for Donald Trump this morning on one of the morning shows. This is his message for Trump.
Senator Graham.
Old lady Cindy Graham.
You want Donald Trump to run again in 2024. I want to play for our viewers what happened late in the night on January 6th on the Senate floor.
Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. I hate it being this way. Oh my God.
That's one way to put it.
From my point of view, he's been a consequential president. But today, first thing you'll see, all I can say is count me out. Enough is enough.
So why now do you think the character to be president again?
Well, I think he was a consequential president. If you compare his policies to what's going on today,
I think he's got a hell of a story to say. That speech was.
Well, I mean, that's not a lie. He was a consequential president, but that can be good or bad. That doesn't necessarily, that doesn't mean he was qualified to be the president. Now, does it, Lindsay?
Was about, I'm going to certify the election. Here's some things I don't believe. I don't believe the Taliban when they say they didn't know Zawahiri was in Kabul. I don't believe Mayorkas when he says the border's secure. I don't believe the election was stolen, and I don't believe this new bill is going to lower inflation. That's where I'm at.
You don't believe the election was stolen. Do you want Donald Trump, if he is looking ahead to 2024, to stop saying that?
I think we should look at election integrity measures to make sure some problems.
Has Lindsay been smoking? He has really red eyes.
Talking about 2020 is not what people want to hear. He likes hearing it, but people want to hear about how can you secure a broken border? How can you stop rampant crime? What can you do to get the economy back on its feet? And
build the wall.
Again? How can you stop Putin from going further? What would you do with China? That's what people want to hear. And here's the good news for Republicans. Based on the performance of the Biden administration, we're in the game at a level I never dreamed of. It's not so much about people liking us. People are looking for an alternative to what's going on.
I want to ask Senator Blumenthal about his potential candidate, but it sounds like you're saying point blank, Donald Trump, please stop saying the 2020 election was overturned.
I'm telling President Trump, if you want to be president in 2024, focus on solving the problems of
the reverse thread. That was hilarious.
The Georgia
you must live in
sexual anarchy. Can now claim.
Hey, shut up. I don't want to hear from you right now, Stacey Abrams. When we come back, we're going to go to CPAC. We're going to go to CPAC. You're going to hear the winner of the straw poll, who the voters at CPAC want to be the GOP nominee for president. We're going to hear from Senator Rick Scott, Ted Cruz. Wild fucking video. Marjorie Taylor Greene with Brandon Straka put himself in a jail cell. He did absolutely no time whatsoever. Oh, I do want to correct myself. I was upset about Alex Jones only receiving like $4 million. But that was just the first part of the damages. The whole kit and caboodle ended up being $50 million. So that's more like it. And that is the first of at least 3 lawsuits he is facing. Also, Biden tested negative for COVID now. So apparently we are not on
Biden dies of COVID watch.
Though we've said that once before in the last couple weeks, and we had to go back on Biden dies of COVID watch. So never know what's going to happen. The Earth is spinning faster. Solar flares are going to affect the power grid. Elon Musk got destroyed by Twitter. Roger Waters destroys CNN. Friday's job report destroyed expectations. All that and more when we come back on the other side of the break here on the Troll Patrol live.
Now we turn to YouTuber Justin FREAKIN. The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the culture. Uncensored and unfiltered political talk and debate from a leftist perspective. The day's top news stories and videos with astute social commentary.
Not high enough for this shit.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Right-wingers are morons.
You brought back the wrong kind of fucking cake, you idiot.
Guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to Justin FREAKIN.
Yet you're like, we'll pray for somebody. You think you can telepathically communicate with a deity, and you have the audacity to say somebody else has a mental disorder. For the love of God. Hi, I'm Justin FREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out. You guys can totally listen to this show as a podcast. Like 3 people do it now. Like 3 people listen to this every day. I'm trying to be on time, putting it up so that, like, you know, it's timely. Maybe some people work overnight. They don't have anything to listen to. They look forward to the Troll Patrol. So, like, that's cool. All 3 of you that listen to this as a podcast every fucking day, I love you guys. I don't get to say I love you and hey to you in the chat. So I would just like to say it to you now. And I apologize when I go off on rants and, like, it makes no sense to the people that are listening to it as a podcast. This is not a very structured show. Star Craving, welcome. RB, I would love to eliminate leap day, leap year. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not one of the scientists that's meeting to discuss what to do about the Earth starting to spin up. Maybe it's not starting. I would watch it on my TV. I usually watch, you know, other people, but like I put, you know, producer Dave over here on my TV when I'm watching. Unless I'm on, then it's on the monitor in front of me. But also, my monitor in front of me is probably bigger than a lot of people's TVs, so, you know. And then that TV is just ungodly. Warlord he could be lurking, or like it is late where Warlord is, so it's like he might be sleepy. That was like, I don't listen to podcasts as much because I'm not driving anywhere and I don't have a job where like I listen to podcasts like when I'm doing a job that's like repetitive. I don't have to think or anything, right? Podcasts are nice. I get lost. I'm just doing my thing. But like a lot of the shit that I have to do, I have to get creative on. So like music is better because like it just kind of plays in the background. I feel like my bandana is doing something weird. Other than Jimmy Cornette, I listen to Jimmy Cornette every week. Sometimes it takes me a few days now. Like used to, I just ate that shit up. There are several podcasts that I really like that I don't get to listen to anymore. So like that's the sad part is like I don't do anything that's conducive to listening to podcasts as much. And Jimmy Cornette is like 10 fucking hours a week, so I like That takes up all my podcast time. Well, I think the meme is being funny. So the meme says, when a jonesing pot junkie scores a nug and doesn't have a bowl or papers. It came from the site Jesus Hates the Pot. I don't think Jesus approves. I don't think Jesus approves. Yeah, I don't even like blowing smoke out my nose. It's not my thing. Speaking of blowing smoke out your nose, you want to go to CPAC? You want to do CPAC? Let's talk about the straw poll from CPAC. Let's find out who the Conservative Political Action Committee straw poll picked. Surprise, surprise, it was Donald Trump. Beats out DeSantis in CPAC straw poll with more than 2/3 of the vote. Former President Trump won a comfortable majority of the vote in the Conservative Political Action Conference. I'm sorry, I called it the committee. The Conservative Political Action Conference's straw poll, maintaining his position as a favorite for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. Organizers announced at CPAC's convention in Texas that Trump won 69% of the vote. Noise.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Trump expanded his lead from the last CPAC straw poll in February, where he received the support of 59% of voting attendees to DeSantis' 28%. Senator Ted Cruz came in third place with 2%, while other choices received 1% support or less. Meanwhile, Trump claimed that the feds faked January 6th and the kidnapping of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
What? The Secret Service put out an announcement, which they never do, put out an announcement that it never happened, which everyone knew anyway. But they won't interview anybody from the Secret Service because they don't want to hear that.
You know, I keep hearing that line from right-wingers, but the Secret Service has refused to testify and has retained private counsel. So apparently, you motherfuckers.
And I still see the Times writing about it like it's something that happened. They don't want that. They haven't called anybody from the Secret Service.
No, it's been verified now.
It's a disgrace what's going on. It's a one-sided witch hunt that continues and continues. As another example, the sting that they did involving Gretchen Whitmer was fake. Just like those who instigated January 6th. It was a fake deal. Fake.
No, it wasn't. We all saw it.
Deal.
And they're always quoting 1984 and shit, like he's telling us that what we saw with our own eyes isn't real. That's 1984, motherfuckers. Donald Trump said Capitol riot instigators and the plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer were fake. Trump wasn't the only one giving batshit crazy speeches at CPAC. I'm not going to give him any more time. Fight the barbarians, the MAGA movement lays out a warpath at CPAC. Militant speeches. The conservative convention underscored the threat that America's culture wars could soon become. Could soon become literal. The threat that America's culture wars could soon become literal. Here is Rick Scott and his bonkers speech.
Everyone will obey, and no one will be allowed to complain. If you do speak up, boom, you're going to be canceled. Your views, if you don't conform with big tech, Fauci, or Neil Young, You're going to be taken off Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. The militant left in America are the modern-day version of book burners.
They're literally the ones banning books in libraries.
Canceling, silence, and banning from the internet is book burning.
It is literally them. Pastor Greg Locke in Tennessee held a literal fucking book burning.
These are the most narrow-minded, intolerant people our country has ever seen. They are completely ignorant of both world history and American history. Socialism leads to two things: poverty and oppression. Socialism is not a new idea. It's one of the dumbest, oldest, most discredited ideas of the 20th century that resulted in the deaths of 100 million people. Yet these Democrats who have
Please clap. Please clap.
Are acting like they just invented socialism. The modern wacky left Democrat has never read George Orwell.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He literally brought up Orwell after I mentioned that in the context of a motherfucker speaking at the event. And as I point out on Twitter all the time, Orwell is the most cited book by people who have never fucking read it.
Come true. Let's be clear. What the militant left is now proposing is not simply wrong. It is evil.
Evil! Aaron Rupert calls it pre-genocide stuff that he's talking about here in this next clip.
The real world works are acting like they just invented socialism. The modern wacky left Democrat has never read George Orwell. They don't know they're making his predictions come true. Let's be clear. What the militant left is now proposing is not simply wrong. It is
evil. That's the same clip, but yeah, just highlighting that. That is fucking batshit. On Friday, Senator Ted Cruz, laying on a thick Texas accent for the home state crowd, inveighed against what he called the power-hungry, abusive, totalitarian nitwits. They didn't include Cruz in here. Let's go find Cruz from CPAC. Let's get a taste of it. We want a sampling of that Ted Cruz. No one has ever said that. Ever. Go over here to the videos. I don't want the fan shot one. There we go. That one's only 16 seconds. Nobody even gives a shit about Ted Cruz. Okay, we got a minute clip here.
If you look at what's happening in Washington, everything is going wrong. We got out of control inflation. The cost of everything is going through the roof. The cost of food, through the roof. The cost of electricity, through the roof. The cost of health care, through the roof. The cost of gasoline, through the roof. It's so bad, Antifa can't afford bricks. It is so bad, Eric Swalwell can't afford Chinese dinners. United States shakes hands with the empty air.
Did you guys enjoy Ted Cruz's stand-up bit? want to hear more of it. Okay, I'll watch your little fan shot video here.
Radicals, like the men who signed the Declaration of Independence, like the framers, like those who died at the Alamo. You are the courageous heroes fighting for liberty in our country, and I'm here to tell you, together, we are going to restore that shining city on a hill that is the United States of America. Thank you, and God bless you.
I love that in the background you see Fire Pelosi, Save America. Well, the fucking city on a hill. Content warning. This is going to make you sad. You are going to see a political prisoner. They are locked up. This is an art exhibit, actually. This is an art exhibit that was at CPAC. It was really supposed to tug on your heartstrings and let you know about the pain and suffering of the January 6th defendants who feel like their due process has been trampled on. Once again, this is an art exhibit that was at CPAC that demonstrates that the January 6th defendants have had their civil rights trampled. Oh, Star Craving, you've seen the meme? Brazers! God bless you, Marjorie.
In Jesus' holy name. Jesus, we trust in you. Jesus, we trust in you. And ask for faith upon Brandon. Send forth the Holy Spirit upon him and strengthen him.
Oh my God, there are people throwing money in his cage. What a fucking grift. Yes, that's Brandon Straka. I'm sorry, my little burp came through on the microphone there. My apologies. I didn't think it would pick it up. We're too silent on this issue, Brandon. Oh, he's crying. He's crying. By the way, he indeed was arrested in relation to January 6th, but he never spent any time behind bars. Kink at CPAC debate win.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Oh, cool, Cicero. It's just a little baby burp. It's just a little baby burp. I'm drinking soda. I don't usually drink soda. And so, like, that, it's a Sprite 7-Up style soda, and it doesn't usually have caffeine in it, but this one has caffeine. A judge unleashed a tirade on a prominent January 6th defendant for his post-plea comments. This was just a few days ago. A federal judge reprimanded a prominent pro-Trump social media personality and January 6th Capitol riot defendant for making questionable comments in the media about his plea agreement and cooperation with law enforcement. Those comments, U.S. District Judge Dabney Frederick said, were inconsistent with what he previously told the court. He's losing more and more credibility by the moment, Frederick said at the hearing, which was held via teleconference. Judge Frederick said the defendant, Brandon Straka, who you just saw doing performance art at CPAC, was possibly opening himself up to prosecution by lying to federal investigators. What he needs to appreciate is he is potentially incriminating himself for 18 U.S. Code Section 1001 prosecution. Almost said prostitution.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Is referring to the criminal law against making materially false statements to the federal government. Straka, the founder of the conservative Walk Away campaign, did not attend Wednesday's hearing and was represented by his attorney. By this point, his case has largely been resolved. Back in September of 2021, he agreed to plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge of engaging in disorderly and disruptive conduct in the Capitol building or grounds. At sentencing, he avoided jail time and instead received 90 days of home confinement and 3 years probation. Wednesday's hearing was ostensibly focused on an apparent mistake made by the court in which a clerk accidentally unsealed sensitive records detailing Straka's cooperation with federal investigators. A coalition of media organizations, which include NPR, had asked the court to unseal documents in the case. The court inadvertently made more available than the judge had intended. The records described how Straka provided significant information about pro-Trump Stop the Steal organizers, including Ollie Alexander, Amy and Kylie Krimmer, and Cindy Shaffian. Prosecutors said Straka provided investigators with a voicemail he had received from another January 6 defendant, and that evidence was valuable in the government's prosecution. In another instance, the records say Straka helped identify yet another potential suspect who was not previously identified by the FBI. He's a snitch. So that's Brandon Straka, who you just saw with Marjorie Taylor Greene in a prison cell doing some kind of stupid ass performance art at CPAC. No, he gets hugs. He gets hugs from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
In Jesus' holy name. Jesus, we trust in you. Jesus, we trust in you.
I wish these fucks could feel embarrassment. Right-wingers are morons. Put on a whole roll with it. I feel like I don't pull out Rudy enough.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes, each and every one of you, especially Brandon Straka. I think you're stupid. I think you're fools. Literally no ethics. Inspired millions, she said. Brandon Straka inspired millions, she said. Let's do a little media critiquing, shall we? But also, I want to highlight a story I didn't get to talk about yet. The jobs report. The jobs report, they were expecting 250,000 jobs added. They actually crushed it and added double that at 500,000. Fox News mocked for desperately trying to spin blockbuster jobs report into an attack on Biden because, of course, that's what they fucking do. Here is how Fox News is currently covering the latest blockbuster, that's their word, not mine, jobs report that the White House misses forecast. It says White House misses forecast on lower July jobs growth. They anticipate it being lower. So Fox has an attack on Fox News. They're saying that they anticipated it. That they said they missed that they misses the forecast as a way to attack it. That's great. Maybe I am too high for this shit. Fox Business yesterday, Larry Kudlow. We got some video.
Wall Street is 250,000 non-farm payroll jobs tomorrow. You have a quick thought?
Oh. This is the day before the report was released.
Yeah, initial claims are, jumped way up again. They're they're now a recession signal, initial claims for unemployment insurance. And so I think we're looking at a number closer to 100. I think that it's going to surprise way on the downside.
And you still believe we're in a recession?
Oh, I know we're in a recession. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, this dude said it's going to be on the downside. It's going to be $100,000. Strong jobs report stokes inflation concerns. Fox News, they're just shameless.
All right, straight to a Fox News alert. The July jobs report just released. Much higher than expected, the U.S. adding 528,000 jobs last month.
That is better than the economists were expecting. They of 250,000, and the White House was saying, 150?
That'll get Joe Biden out of isolation. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate lowers to 3 to 5%. That wasn't.
He is indeed out of isolation. He is indeed out of isolation. We are no longer on
Biden dies of COVID watch.
They are desperate. This is like nobody likes Biden, but like they're so desperate just to attack him for any fucking thing. It reeks.
Neil Cavuto, that is Charles Payne reacting, making money. So you're just looking at the numbers now. Much higher, right?
Much higher than consensus. It was a strong number, the best number since March, which was 750, because they've been trending lower since March sequentially. It's a really good number. I mean, across the board. The only thing that, and I always quibble with this, I think it's probably the more important thing is participation. The unemployment rate went to 3.5% from 3.6, but participation actually went down. So we're 62.1. Right at February 2020, when the pandemic hit, we were 63.
And like, okay, so I had to look into this the other day because I had that argument on Twitter. Participation rate goes down. That's because 1 million people fucking died. Over 1 million people have died. Biden is hard to attack if you're on the right, because like that's true. And like the shit that he does do, the right wing should be all about. Like he tries to appeal to them. But like the participation rate has gone down because over 1 million people have died. Baby boomers that were still in the workforce that were hanging on have realized like, oh shit, life's kind of short. And they're retiring now and they're opening up new spots. The participation rate going down is actually a good thing for us.
3.4. So it's still somewhat amazing to me that we have not gotten back up to the same level of participation, despite the fact that wages are higher and jobs are plentiful.
Well, I just explained it. 1 million people died, sir. 1 million people died. Over 1 million people. I'm downplaying it. But don't think we're just going to shit on Fox News tonight. Let's go shit on CNN. Do you guys like Pink Floyd? Who here likes Pink Floyd? I have become comfortably numb. So go ahead. I'm going to full disclosure for everybody. I've paid way too much money to see Roger Waters in concert. Paid way too much money to sit in the nosebleed section. Would have bought a t-shirt, but goddamn, they were $70. On top of paying way. How much money did I pay? I have seen all kinds of concerts in my life. And I don't remember which one was more. It was either Lady Gaga or Roger Waters is the most expensive ticket I've ever bought. And make no mistake about it. The reason why it is such an expensive ticket is because Roger Waters is barely playing anything in front of you. He's barely singing anything in front of you. You pay for a spectacle. You pay for the show like you're seeing here with the projections and shit. And the giant pig that'll fucking inflate and go around the arena. And I got the Nashville children's choir or some shit like that. Nashville Catholic I don't even remember who it was. Some kind of children's choir, all dressed up in jail outfits, singing "Brick in the Wall." So you pay for the spectacle because Roger Waters isn't really much of a performer. Just saying. And he's also a snarky. Okay, here's the thing: is like Syd Barrett is for those who don't know, Syd Barrett is the original lead singer of Pink Floyd, and after Syd Barrett left the band because of his mental breakdown, Pink Floyd then proceeded to pretty much exploit Syd Barrett's mental breakdown and sing about like that's what fucking Dark Side of the Moon is, and fucking Eclipse and Brain Damage and shit. It's them making fun of their fucking friend and exploiting them for money, and it's kind of insidious if it's made me look at Pink Floyd a completely different way. Like knowing that. But Roger Waters is a really snarky old asshole who would say he's more on the left, but he's also a boomer and he's, rich. So keep that in mind. But like, this should be a pretty fun interview that he gives to CNN over the weekend.
And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen, and it says, "Just getting started." What's that all about?
Oh, I know Waters and Gilmore hate each other.
Well, he's fueling the fire in the Ukraine for a start. That is a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky, the president, to negotiate, obviating the need for this horrendous war that's killing?
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the party that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
That's any war. When did it start? What you need to do is look at the history, and you can say, well, it started on this day. You could say it started in 2008. Okay, this war is basically about the action and reaction of NATO pushing right up to the Russian border, which they promised they wouldn't do when Gorbachev negotiated the withdrawal of the USSR from the whole of Eastern Europe.
When you say this, then I have to say, what about our role as liberators? You of all people.
You have no role as liberators.
World War II? World War II? You
got into World War II because
Come
it's
on.
Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. You were completely isolationist until that sad, that devastating,
I would argue we were
day
always going to get in, and that pushed us in. But thank God the United States got in, right? You lost your father in World War II. Thank God the United States.
Thank God the Russians had already won the bloody war almost by then. Don't forget, 23 million Russians died, protecting you and me from the Nazi menace.
Hey, and you would think the Russians would have learned their lesson from war and wouldn't have invaded Ukraine.
Well, you, with all your reading, I would suggest to you.
I mean, Roger's been pretty on point on this interview.
And then try and figure out what the United States would do if the Chinese were putting nuclear-armed missiles into Mexico and Canada.
Here's the problem with Rogers, is if you listen to him long enough, he's going to say something that's going to really piss you off. But he was right there. I think we got another part of it here. Here's the second part of him with Schmirkornish.
The Chinese are too busy encircling Taiwan as we speak. Okay?
They're not encircling Taiwan. Taiwan is part of China. And that's been absolutely accepted by the whole of the international community since 1948. And if you don't know that, you're not...
He's not wrong on that either, but also, like...
Did we solve anything here today?
No.
Also, like, oh, that's... He's not wrong because the U.S. recognizes the one China policy. The U.S. recognizes the one China policy. Here's the problem, though, is if you stand on the side of democracy, freedom, and self-determination, then you should want the Taiwan. But the Taiwanese people don't really. They want to still exist in this quasi-democratic, but still part of China existence. At last I heard in polls. Like, that's what the majority wanted. Unless that's changed in the last, 5 years. So I don't know yet. Technically, we acknowledge. Okay. We acknowledge the one China policy. Thank you, Sitting Cow, for making that distinction for me, because that is an important distinction. We acknowledge is a little different than actually recognizing the policy and because obviously Taiwan, some people in our government feel that Taiwan has a right to exist because Nancy Pelosi was just there. That's why we talked about China and Taiwan all last week. But this has been a hell of an interview.
The Chinese are too busy encircling Taiwan as we speak. Okay?
They're not encircling Taiwan. Taiwan is part of China. And that's been absolutely accepted by the whole of the international community since 1948. And if you don't know that, you're not reading enough. Go and read about it.
Okay. Did we solve it?
No, well, yeah, we did. Well, no, we didn't. Because
Nancy,
you're believing your propaganda, your side's propaganda.
You're defining it as
Taiwan,
propaganda.
you can't have a conversation about human rights, and you can't have a conversation about.
Oh, here's a Smokey.
Without actually doing the reading.
Roger, if you're having a conversation about human rights, at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world?
At the top of your list.
Why is it
the
always
Chinese
the Western
didn't
world?
invade Iraq and kill 1 million people in 2003. In fact, as far as I can recall, hang on a minute, who have the Chinese invaded and murdered, slaughtered?
Their own
bollocks.
Okay.
That's absolute nonsense. Complete nonsense. You should go away and read, but read some proper.
Hey, my
literature.
problem is I spend too much time reading your liner notes, okay? Thank you for doing this.
Maybe that's why you're so fucking stupid, Smear Cornish. I have no clue how to say his name. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. Dude that said we don't need no education. Telling people go read. But I mean, clearly that was a commentary on society. It was a pro-education message, I would assume. Twitter obliterates Elon Musk's excuses for trying to kill $44 billion deal in blistering court filing. Back in April, Elon Musk made a $44 billion offer to buy Twitter before he decided in July that he wanted to cancel the deal. But that's not how it works when you've already made a legally binding commitment, and a new court filing from Twitter pokes hole after hole in every complaint the Tesla CEO has made about the purchase agreement. Twitter sued Musk last month, explaining that he was still on the hook to fork over all that cash. Musk countersued and submitted explanations for why he didn't want the social media company anymore, and Twitter has responded to those claims in a court filing in Delaware, unsealed on Thursday. Making Roger Waters seem reasonable is no small feat. Oh! Very true, because Roger Waters is very much up his own ass, and I say that as somewhat of a fan, less of a fan than I was, 10 years ago. Man, when I was doing a lot of acid and mushrooms, exclusively listening to Pink Floyd and Radiohead. I would get incredibly fucked up and listen to Pink Floyd and Radiohead. But you gotta watch with the Radiohead though, because like you don't want a bad trip. So you can't just put like Radiohead on shuffle. So like some sad ass song's gonna come on, and you're gonna be like, oh, this completely killed my buzz. No, I wanted to dance, motherfuckers. I wanted to dance and sing about magpies. Oh fuck. But I've lost a lot of respect for a lot of people over the last few years. Chris Jericho is one of the people I lost a lot of respect for. Buddy! He keeps clawing me. It hurts. Like fucking 6-7 years ago, I was calling Chris Jericho the greatest wrestler of all time. And now, like, I found out his wife was January 6th. He got really out of shape there for a little while. Like, he really made an ass of himself. Came out, and for those of you who haven't seen it, I gotta show you. The Jericho matching outfits. Like him looking like the Backstreet Boys in their little outfits the other day. Ah, God damn it. Like, what the fuck is this shit? And they keep doing it. They keep like dressing up like matching outfits. Their little fedoras and shit. Sky Comic, good night. Sweet dreams. We're not going to be on very much longer. We're going to make fun of Elon Musk here for a little bit, and then we're going to hear some space junk. And I think I got one more story after that. Oh, yeah. Twitter didn't pull any punches in the 127-page filing, walking right up to the line of calling Musk an idiotic liar without actually using those words. But they were damn close. The counterclaims are made for litigation tell that is contradicted by the evidence and common sense. Twitter said in the new court filing the company called his complaints factually inaccurate, legally insufficient, and commercially irrelevant. Musk invents representations Twitter never made and then tries to wield selectively the extensive confidential data Twitter provided him to conjure a breach of those purported representations. Yet Musk simultaneously and incoherently asserts that Twitter breached the merger agreement by stonewalling his information requests. The legal beatdown continued from there, eviscerating Musk's claims about the number of bots on Twitter and the number of active users on the platform. The two big issues the billionaire takes with the deal. Whatever excuses Musk can come up with, he signed an agreement to buy the company at a given price and waived any due diligence. Apparently, one of the softwares that Musk used to detect bots considered Musk's own account a bot. But Musk's new move here is to challenge Twitter CEO to a public debate about bots. Elon Musk challenges Twitter CEO to a public debate about bots. I hereby challenge @Paraga to a public debate about the Twitter bot percentage. Let him prove to the public that Twitter has less than 5% fake or spam daily users. Musk promptly pinned the tweet to his profile and then polled his followers on whether they believe Twitter's argument that less than 5% of its monthly daily active users are fake or spam. The two options are yes, with 3 robot emojis. This guy, this fucking idiot. Where, Mox, good evening. Yeah, when you go full debate, bro. Where's the poll? Where's the poll? Where's the poll? Oh, I didn't get in time. The poll was posted yesterday at 12:18 p.m. I was going to vote. And laughing my ass off, no. Laughing my ass off, no. Almost inevitably be skewed in Musk's favor. I don't know, unless Keffel's ratios it. Let's go to Musk's favorite topic that he acts like he knows about. Space. This is one of the stories that everybody has been waiting for, isn't it? Scientists meet to discuss why the Earth is spinning faster than normal. You know, I've got some back pain. I wonder if that's one of the reasons for it. Scientists say the Earth has been spinning faster than normal. According to scientists, the Earth has been spinning faster on its axis and even saw the shortest day on record in over 50 years. On June 29th of 2022, the Earth completed its spin 1.59 milliseconds earlier than normal. Scientists measured the rotational speed when they began using atomic clocks. Since using atomic clocks, scientists discovered that there are fluctuations in the rotational speed. The Earth is gradually slowing down, which is why there are leap seconds in the calendar. But the last second leap was on December 31st, 2016. Researchers are wondering if a negative leap second should be introduced, which would skip 1 second but also create issues for IT systems. Dark Brandon. Of course, blame Dark Brandon. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has stated that it may run into issues since it uses International Atomic Time or Universal Time for timing. The company says the leap seconds are a major source of pain for people who manage hardware infrastructures. Planetary scientists are not concerned about the shortened days at the moment because they know of the many factors of the planetary spin, such as the moon's pull and mountain erosion. I think you are a millisecond younger, Cicero. You are a millisecond younger. No, older. Older. We're going faster. Older. You're a millisecond older. I'm sorry to inform you of that. Also, I'm very bad at math. Kitties! Solar flares will increase and cause problems on Earth through 2025, NASA says. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not the Troll Patrol, it's the Doom Patrol over here. My apologies. The sun has been very active lately, which could cause a few problems for us here on Earth. While the solar cycle is not yet at its peak, the space agency said activity has already surpassed predictions. Solar flares and eruptions will likely increase from now until 2025 as we reach solar maximum. During the sun's natural 11-year cycle, the sun shifts from relatively calm to stormy, then back again. At its most active, called solar maximum, the sun is freckled with sunspots and its magnetic poles reverse. That sort of solar activity has impacts here on Earth. It could disrupt navigational tools like GPS, cause blackouts and problems with power grids, and cause radio communication issues. Strong solar flares, which are basically intense bursts of radiation, could also create health risks for astronauts, issues for spacecraft, and potentially create concerns about the health of flight crews and passengers on airplanes. Oh, also, I left it off the list tonight, but like, they've been doing wastewater tests in New York, and hundreds of people are probably infected with polio. Monkeypox has mutated at an incredible rate and is seriously going to infect everybody. So, buckle up, buckaroos. Sorry, it's the Doom Patrol here with Justin Freakin. My apologies, but allow me to give you a funny story. Staying with our space theme here. A French scientist's photo of a distant star was actually chorizo. Etienne Klein's tweet was liked and retweeted thousands of times before he revealed he was trolling, and the photo showed a slice of sausage and not the Proxima Centauri.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
What do you guys think? Could that look like a planet? I'm sorry, it was a galaxy or something. What'd he say? What'd he say? Oh, a distant star. It was supposed to be a distant star. A photo tweeted by a famous French physicist, supposedly of Proxima Centauri by the James Webb Space Telescope, was actually a slice of chorizo. Research director at France's Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission posted the photo last week, claiming it showed the closest star to the sun. This level of detail, Klein wrote. A new world is revealed day after day. Images from the $10 billion James Webb Space Telescope, a collaboration between NASA and Canada and Europe's space agencies, went viral throughout July, and its first images were released to the public. But a few days later, Klein revealed that the photo he tweeted was not the work of the world's most powerful space telescope, as he in fact tweeted, a slice of chorizo sausage. According to contemporary cosmology, no object belonging to Spanish charcuterie exists anywhere but on Earth. He said, after apologizing for tricking so many people. Like an idiot, I got screwed, tweeted one French user. Same, replied another. The source was so credible. Klein told the French news outlet Le Point that the intention had been to educate people about fake news online, adding that I also think that if I hadn't said it was a James Webb photo, it wouldn't have been so successful. Earlier this week, Klein tweeted another image from the James Webb Space Telescope that definitely shows the Chariot Wheel Galaxy and is 100% not a slice of salami. Oh my God. The cats are in there doing some fucking fucked up shit. What are you doing, cats? Smokey's not involved. Smokey's in here with me. It's a Maynard and a Socks are involved somehow. I'm going to have to go in there and take care of that. You know I wouldn't leave you without your animal video for the night. Here is a puppy playing Connect 4. We have sound? Unfortunately, no sound. Yes, that Maynard. That Maynard is fucking shit up in there. The puppy is playing Connect 4 with his human. Or with their human. I don't know if I gendered the puppy. The puppy didn't want... Oh, the puppy didn't like you blocked his Connect 4. That's fantastic. The puppy was ready to win, and you blocked the puppy's Connect 4. See, the puppy's trying to block you from putting it in, then knocks over... Like, the puppy is a sore fucking loser. And he didn't even... Didn't even lose the round. Just got blocked on that one Connect 4, which is it's the game, puppy. That's the game, puppy. You know, your human might let you win, but like they're not just gonna give it to you that fucking easy. They actually want to play the game for a little bit, being human. Come on. Mean puppy. I love that it knew that it had to Connect 4 though. That's great. How in the fuck? That makes me so happy. Puppy's so sweet. I want a puppy I can play Connect 4 with. All right, guys, if you are watching on Twitch, we're going to head over to Echoplex Media. It is the first Plex podcast from the new studio. Historian Matt, the media winch, and producer Dave, all in the house. Producer Dave and media winch in studio. Historian Matt joining remotely. Thank you, Cicero. I hope everybody has a good evening. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow night. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I am Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.